This is a handover on the Dethleff Summer Edition. So as we start walking around on the driver's side of the vehicle first, the first point you get to is your mains connectivity point. So you get a hooker blade, lift the collar, slide on there, hook the vehicle up first, then walk to your power source, as we wouldn't want you walking around with the live lead should the lead ever become damaged or should it be wet. You don't want to get an electric shock. And to operate your awning, you put your winding handle in here. You simply wind until you can reach inside of the canopy. Your legs will be stored away like this. So what you do is you put one hand at the back, one hand at the front, pull the legs towards you, loosen the nut off. This adjusts the telescopic height of the awning. So just tighten them for the time being. Put both legs down and then wind the awning and walk the legs out until you're happy you've got the legs out far enough. And then on the bottom of the feet you can peg here to peg them down, and on the front of the awning, should you want an air awning, which is like a canopy, so a full fitted room, you've got a C rail there, so you can get a driveway kit and an air awning on the side of the vehicle. Your habitation door opens with the square key, so you can lock it and unlock it, and your step, little clip underneath in the centre, just stores away. It's just a manual push-in step. But your two vents or your fridge, your waste is underneath here. So if you want to open your waste, so this is anything you put down the plug hole, use the red lever here, open the, and as you can see there's water coming out. Normally you drive over a grid to do this. You'll want to drain all the water out the vehicle in the winter months especially, as you wouldn't want it to freeze. But normally when you drive out of the site, you dump your grey waste. And then for these locks,
push on the thing.
what you need to do is, there's a little lip there pointing to the front, quarter of a turn and a tap, which locks these, and then a full turn opens them. And here you've got your infill cushions for your bed, so I'll show you how that works from inside. And then in here you've got your gas locker, so you can fit two 6kg propane bottles in here. Make sure they're strapped in with the straps provided. Make sure they're turned off when travelling. Turn them on when you arrive on site and you get the pigtail on. It's a left hand thread, hand tighten so opposite threads with it being gas, then turn on and off at the top of the bottle. But always make sure it's strapped in, as we wouldn't want the gas rolling around when driving. At the back of the vehicle you've got your bike rack, so to operate the bike rack, you pull it down, bike through here, put your wheels on the rails, these through the spokes to clamp the wheels down, and these on the crossbars, so first and second bike. Then I would advise putting some sort of lock around your bike just in case you pull in at the services, you don't want your bikes going walkabout. You've got your reversing camera and rear view camera just underneath the number plate, and your rear parking sensors. On this side you've got your Truma boiler vent, your toilet, so again opens with the key, and then you've got to ensure the blade's closed. To lift the orange handle there, slide it out, take the cap off, go to your waste disposal site, which is normally behind or beside the toilet, press the button, tip out. This is just water we've tested the toilet with. Once you've tipped it out, put some water in on the spout, give it a rinse and tip out again. Then you'd use a cap full of chemical into here. It's good to go back near the vehicle, or if you're using the tablets, you just put a pint of water in and a tablet into here. You can buy Fresh Up kits, which is a new cassette from Dethleff, so they still do make this cassette should you want to replace it in the future. And then we'll just lock like so. That one. Exhaust for the vehicle fresh water intake. So go and get yourself a hose pipe, put a hose pipe in there until it overflows or until you're happy you've got enough water on board, which you can see on your main control panel. Your water tank does live underneath your travelling seats at the back, so that's where the drain is, in the tank there. And then you've got fuel, which opens with the main forward key for filling the vehicle with diesel. Got your carb, so leisure battery underneath this seat, engine battery underneath that one. And then as we come around, obviously the key to open the bonnet, so you'd go to the left to release the bonnet, and then to the right to lift the bonnet up. Use the stay, and you've got your power steering fluid, engine oil, brake fluid, dipstick for checking the levels, and then on this side you've got your screen wash, your radiator fluid. You've got a positive here underneath this red clip for giving a jump start, and you'd earth off the engine hoist just down here. So in the garage on the other side, where the door isn't, you have your 10 litre hot water boiler system. So in the winter months it's very important that you drain this off, as you don't want the water to become cold and freeze in the boiler, otherwise, because it's not covered under warranty, as frost damage would void your warranty. And to do so, there's a little yellow toggle here lying down. Stand it up like so. 10 litres of water will drain directly out underneath the chassis. Leave it stood up during the time you've got the vehicle stood up in storage and not using it during the winter months when it's cold. Open all the taps within the vehicle, open the waste outside, open the fresh fire, pulling the plug out the tank, and remove your shower head. Then when you come to reuse it, shut your waste, put the plug in the fresh, shut all your taps in the vehicle, and then what you can do is fill with a hose pipe with cold water, fresh water. Come in, put the 12 volt on, go to the cold side of the tap first, you'll get automatic cold water. Go to the hot side, it will cough, splutter, makes all sorts of noises, because what it's doing is it's drawn from the main tank into here, filling it with 10 litres, pushing all the air out, and then once you get a pressurised flow on one tap, do them all, then you are ready for the season. So above the habitation door is your main control panel. So to turn your 12 volt on and off, you've got to turn the 12 volt off and turn the 12 volt on. Obviously if you were wild camping and you weren't hooked up, you would just have 12 volt. If you were hooked up, you'll get this little light on there that says 230 volt. Next to it you've got a battery switch so you can view your levels. So you've got the one at the front, which is your Ford engine battery, and then you've got the one at the back, which is your leisure battery. And across you've got at the top your fresh water, and at the bottom your wastewater. So your fresh water, you've got about 1/4 of a tank of fresh water, and then at the bottom you've got 0 waste on board. In the kitchen area, so as long as your 12 volts on, you'll be able to use your tap. So it's just a micro switch in there, so you can choose hot or cold depending if you've had the hot water system on. You'll get hot water, and that water there is coming through nice and warm. And then on the top you've got 3 gas rings. So you've got one there. You will need a match or an ignition lighter of some sort. There you go, you've got 3 gas rings. Allow them to cool before you put the lid down. And below you've got all your gas isolation taps, so should there be any problems with gas, turn the bottle off to be safe. So mainly for when the vehicle is serviced. And you've got a 3-pin 230 volt socket. You've got your grill, and below that you've got your oven. So you can see the oven's lit. You may want to take these out when travelling or wrap them up. And below you've got some storage. Underneath the hob you've got your Dometic fridge freezer box. So you've got a travel catch here, so you can slide it to unlock or lock, and then it's 3 ways. So it's off at the top. The first one you get to is gas, which you'll hear it clicking and it'll self-ignite on gas. But your bottle will need to be turned on for this to work. So you'd use gas if you're wild camping and you weren't on electric hookup. If you are on a site or you're lucky enough to keep us at home and you were pre-chilling it before you go away, you'd put it onto electric, because you wouldn't want to waste your gas. You've paid your site fees, or like I've said, you're at home getting the van ready for your trip. And then should you have pre-chilled it, or you're moving from site to site and obviously shopping's nice and cool in the fridge, you turn on the battery. As you can see there, the light hasn't come on because it's not off the leisure battery, it's off the engine when the Ford engine is started. So the engine must be started for this to work, and it will turn the fridge into a big cool box and it'll just keep it at the same temperature. Got your temperature here, so you can depending on if you're pre-chilling, you'll probably want it on max, but when you get your shopping in, you'll probably want to turn it down ever so slightly because it can freeze the shopping. And then inside, got a freezer box. Freezer box there, and then once you finish using it for the season, if you just clean it out, then if you just lock it at the top, it'll stop the door from shutting on itself and it'll allow ventilation in and out to stop any bacteria or molds growing in the fridge. Here you have your heating and hot water controls. So at the top on your Truma Combi controls, you've got what heating or hot water you want on. So you've got off on the middle on that little O there, and then above you've got 2 water settings. So this is how hot you want your water. So if you didn't want the heating on, i.e. in the summer, you just wanted water, you can obviously have it on all the way at the top, which is 60 degrees of heating your water. Then below you've got 40 degrees of heating your water. You've got off. Then you've got the gas flame, which is just the heating on its own. So if you're just wanting to heat the vehicle and have no water, or you might not have any water on board, so that's when you wouldn't want to heat water anyway. And then below that you've got, at the very bottom, you've got heating and hot water. So you've got heating and hot water, and it's heating the water at 60 degrees at the bottom. Below you've got what source you want to use. So at the very top you've got 2 kilowatts of electric. Then you've got 1 kilowatt, just depending on what the site amperage they give you through the hooker blade. You determined whether you use 1 or 2 kilowatts. Gas on its own if you're wild camping. And then you've got gas and 1 kilowatt and gas and 2 kilowatts at the bottom. You'd use gas and 2 kilowatts if you're in desperate need to heat the vehicle or the water, i.e. in the winter months. Above the sink in the cupboard is where you'll find your Vision Plus Status 570 TV aerial. So should you be struggling to get a signal, what you can do is loosen this nut off here. So you can loosen it off, and then you can push the stem up and out of the vehicle. Use the toggle on the bottom to direct the aerial, but a tip for you is just to look where the other motorhomes and caravans are pointing where you're parked up at on your site. And then when travelling, you always need to make sure the stem is pulled securely into the vehicle and the nut is fastened, because you don't want the wind to get underneath the aerial and damage the aerial on the roof. At the back you've got a TV booster. So when you get the green light on here, it means it's found a signal. Should you have an orange or a red light, that's when you need to direct the aerial by loosening the nut, pushing it up and using the toggle on the bottom. But you do have a min and a max on the back there, so you can amplify and boost the TV signal should it be too weak or too strong. And then below you've got the back of your owner light, so if you ever need to change the bulb, you change it through the back here. To operate the toilet, On the back, you've got a blue little switch, which is your flush. There you've got a flush, so it's a freshwater electric flush. And then flush first, lubricates the blade, then open the blade, which will slide to the right, which allows everything to go into the cassette. Then obviously flush after use and slide to the left. When the cassette is full, the diagram here will light up to say it's full and you need to change it. But always get into practice of opening the blade when using the toilet and closing it after use. Get your light switch just underneath this cabinet here. Toiletry cabinet. More toiletry cabinet. These are all around the vehicle. There's two at the front of the van as well, behind the carb seats. They'll just slide over the vent so you can direct the air, the hot air where you want. But you can just take them off if you wanted it to just blow up into the bathroom. Then you've got your shower head on the end of your shower hose here. And when winterising, if you just unscrew that and pull the hose out as far as it'll come and allow it to lie down in here, obviously the waste would be open from the outside, so any water would just run straight into the waste tank and straight out of the vehicle. And that just stores back away down the neck of the tap there. So, got a shower curtain and a towel rail as well. And then to open the skylight, you can open it anyway, so you can open it one side, keep one side shut. You can open it at the back, both sides. You can open it to keep the back shut or the front shut and the back open. Just whichever way the wind's blowing, you can do it the opposite way. But always make sure it's shut before you start travelling. So at the back, you've got your transverse bed. So there's these clips on the ceiling, which are for the safety net. And you've got a ladder there. Got the same skylight is in the washroom. This one does have a blackout blind on for an evening, which just clips in there. Storage at the back. And then you do have two reading lights. It's got a switch on there to turn them on and off. So they're like a cool ice white bulb. To operate the windows, loosen the toggles, push it out, then tighten the black dials on the windows to keep them out, loosen them off to bring the window in, and always make sure it's shut. And then you do have a fly screen and a blackout blind. So underneath your rear travelling seats, this is your freshwater tank. If you lift that cap off, the red cap, there's a plug in there which drains your fresh water. So there's no drain from the outside for the fresh water, it's through the tank. And obviously you'd make sure that you drain this off in the winter, especially or if you've taken on any contaminated water, as you wouldn't want it to freeze in the tank. Underneath the side facing seat behind the driver's seat is where you'll find your 230 main trips. So if you trip the vehicle out, try here before you try your main sight. And then you do have a good amount of storage under here as well. Above the side facing bench seat you do have a shelf. So you've got a little arm here that's just a support for the shelf. And then below you can feed your cables up here. And you've got a TV aerial and 12 volt points. So now in the cab, which is based on a Mark 7 Ford Transit, you've got your handbrake to your right, and then you do have your cab blinds which just slide down, so you've got your little window and the big one, and then you've got the same, so you just push up and pull down to release. and they're just magnetic, and that blacks out the windscreen, and you've got exactly the same on the passenger door. And you've got your electric windows. To lock the doors in the cab, you just press these in on both sides and it'll lock passenger and driver door. You have to do that on both sides. Got your mirror adjustment, which is the top only, bottom, which is your blind spot, you have to manually adjust. You've got your lights off, you've got your park lights to the left, side lights, and then your headlights on. Pull out, you'll be able to put your front and rear fog lights on, which show there, they're on. And then you do have your headlight adjustment. Wipers, indicators, and then on the menu you can scroll through, so it'll tell you your outside temperature, your average speed, your average fuel usage, your distance to empty. And then you do have on and off for the cruise control, so you turn it on and you'd set it here, and then you can accelerate with the cruise control with the plus and decelerate with the minus. And then should you have to cancel it with the brake, you can just press resume and it'll resume to the last speed it was set at. Lifting this clip here, you've got a 12 volt point in the dashboard. Your cup holders flip out, you've got two cup holders there, and you've got your hazard lights, your temperature, your distribution, so where you want the air to go to and whether you're recirculating air, your fan speed, and you can push in and out and that turns the aircon on. Handy little storage underneath the radio. Then this is a singled in Ford radio, so to pop it out, if you wanted to take it out, just push in the bottom left hand corner, comes out, and then you'd always push the right hand side in, and then you just press source and you can press 1 to 6 to save your favourite FM channels. Source, you can go to USB or auxiliary, or you can put a CD in. Got some more storage up there and a large glove box. Your rear view camera, which also works when in reverse, and you'll hear the beep, that's the reversing sensors. Underneath the cab seat is where the engine battery lives, and underneath the passenger seat is where the leisure battery lives, and you do have your fuses which are on the front. So all your 12 volt fuses for your leisure battery are on the front of the seat, just down here. So that would be a good idea to carry some spares. And then to get the seats round into the back, if you just lift up and then push round, should they get stuck, if you just pull the seat forward, you'll be able to get it into the back, and that's both driver and passenger. To lock the habitation door from the inside, simply turn to the right, turn to the left, will open the door. Then with the table slides forward, and at the back you've got this board that goes in. So this board fits in on a dowel on the back of the table there, and just extends the table out slightly. And what you do is slide the table back in, and then lifts off, clip it onto the top bar. So put the 90 degrees, and if you pull the leg out, so and it'll fold down. So to make the front bed on the Dethleff, this is how the cushions would go. So you've got the infill cushion that sits on top of the passenger seat, so you need to spin that round, which I'll show you how to do, and then that sits on top. The base cushion from the travelling seat slides forward, and the backrest from here drops down. And then you've got the base cushion from this side facing seat and the backrest, and an infill cushion just at the back, wedges in there just to stop them from moving. And then you've got this, which folds in two, which is just basically like a mattress topper, which just goes on the top there and gets it level with the passenger seat cushion.